Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, and I'm excited about it. It's a new day. It's new every morning, especially on Fridays if you work a 5-day work week. It is February 27th, 2026. You are looking at the host of this podcast, Tim Koger, and I am excited about another day. I'm excited about the information I got. I hope you enjoy it. It looks kind of mundane outside right now. That's the way I describe it. I am your host. I am the producer and the director of this podcast. Yes, I pretty much do it all. This is me, the whole thing. I am the magic of this podcast, only because there's no one else here to be the magic of this podcast. But anyway, good morning, everyone. I hope I have some morning warriors with me. This information is always better at 7:30 in the morning because it's fresh, it's new, it's invigorating, and of course it's good information. It's great information actually later in the day, but it is good information now. I got several stories. Good morning, Sue. Nice to have you along at 7:31 a.m. I got some interesting stories today, but I want to start out with a couple things. First of all, don't forget, if you haven't done it already, please go to my new Facebook page. It's called It's New Every Morning. That's where this Facebook podcast live is going to be moved to as soon as I meet all their qualifications to do a live broadcast on there, which I have not met yet. One of which is getting enough followers. So just go follow it. If you're watching this and you want to continue to watch it, that's where it's going to be. So you need to go there and follow it. That's all you got to do. Just follow it. And when I get that number up to where they want it, then I'll be moving this podcast to there. So it will have its own home. It's new every morning, which is what I want to do. So anyway, I want to start off today. It looks nice outside. It's kind of springy. I went through a blizzard yesterday. A lot of people in central West Virginia went through a blizzard somewhere. Well, I just happened to be between Davis and Canaan Valley, and it was bad. And really, the blizzard wasn't the problem. The problem was the tractor trailers couldn't get up the mountains because no one thought it was supposed to rain over there. It wasn't supposed to snow. So because of that, there wasn't any trucks out treating the roads. So they had to literally, I sat for an hour, 2 different stops, total of about an hour, waiting for snow to be, or ice and snow to be taken off the roads with salt. So the state had to come and, because the tractor trailers couldn't get up the hill. So that's where I spent some time yesterday, working my way around West Virginia. I have to start off, and this is not in my notes, but it's something I have to do. So, good morning, Mary. Nice to have you along. She is one of my closest watchers, mainly because she's just up the hill from me. She lives next door, but not really next door, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's up a hill and around. I can't see her house from here, but she's the next house that direction, which I kind of like, not being all crowded up. That's one of the blessings of living where I live. I love it. So anyway, I think it was Monday. It was either Monday or last Friday. I did a story on Reese's. I think it was Monday. And I was talking about how the grandson was all up in arms about all their products were using cheap ingredients. They were using chocolate candy instead of milk chocolate, and peanut butter cream except peanut butter. And then I'm walking through a store. Good morning, Donna. So I'm walking through a store this week, and I see Reese's, and I'm like, man, let me check the ingredients. So I turned it over, and guess what? It said milk chocolate and peanut butter. It didn't say chocolate candy. I'm like, so I put that down, and I picked up another one. And you know what? It said milk chocolate too. And then I looked at a third one, and it said milk chocolate. So I must confess, I may have been wrong about that story. Now, there may be some of their products. I didn't go through all the Reese's products. I mean, I just, they got a bunch of them. I didn't sit there and go through everything. But I do know that the ones that I did go through did have milk chocolate and peanut butter on them. I'm guessing some of the newfangled things is maybe what he was talking about, but looks to me like Reese cups are still milk chocolate and peanut butter. They're a little smaller than they used to be. I'm sure you've noticed that if you eat a Reese cup. I don't know what they used to be and what they are now, but they're definitely smaller. Either that or my mouth got bigger, and I'm pretty sure that's not it. But anyway, moving along, I wanted to say that because didn't want to mislead anybody on Reese's products. Okay. Now, my first story of the day. This is podcast 69. Yeah, I've done this 69 times. Well, 68 times, and soon to be 69. State Farm, which I use as an insurance company, has a $5 billion dividend coming back to its car insurance members. Yeah, $5 billion in dividends. And they say that amount may vary, of course, from state to state and blah, blah, blah. But they say that the average person should get about $100 rebate, which is $100. You can do a lot of things with $100. I certainly can. Okay, so why is this happening? Well, the reason is pretty simple. The auto costs have declined in 2025. Accidents decline, prices decline. But the insurance companies, their premiums have gone way up. I bought a vehicle fairly recently, but about 3 months ago, and I couldn't believe how much they wanted for insurance. In fact, I called the agent and I said, this is ridiculous. I didn't say it's ridiculous. I said, this is awful high. I'm kind of like that. This is kind of high, and they worked it down a little bit, but it's still higher than I can imagine it should be. So now I know why. Dividends are coming, State Farm people. Now, if you're not with State Farm, you'll have to check with your insurance company to see if you're going to get a premium back, because I'm thinking if State Farm's accidents are down and costs are down, so is everybody else's. You might want to call your agent and see if you can get a rebate like me with State Farm. So all you State Farm people, rejoice. Moving right along. I don't know what you all think about this story. The protein bar delusion. That's what I'm going to call it. Okay. Are we, and when I say we, I'm including me because I do eat protein bars. I'm not an addict. I'm not a protein bar addict, but I do eat them at times. And are Americans eating candy disguised as a protein bar? I mean, really? Well, now, for example, if you're eating, like a protein bar for breakfast, because it tastes good, you like it, you think you're being healthy, but it's not always a good choice. Now, let me give you some examples. Protein bars, come in a lot of different ways, and they've come a long way. If you'd eaten a protein bar 10 years ago, you'd know what I mean if you eat one today. They were nasty, chalky, yucky, just a few years ago. Well, that's all changed. Like, for example, everybody's getting into the protein bar thing, right? Now, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to figure out that a protein Pop-Tart is probably not really super good for you. Now, I don't know I don't have the ingredients in front of me, but it's not quite that simple. I mean, like Cliff bars. I don't know if you've eaten a Cliff bar. I have eaten a Cliff bar. Now they're, oatmeal, raisin, they got a lot of good healthy stuff in them. And really a protein bar, it used to be, all they had to have is like, 10 grams of protein or something. I think I have this down here somewhere. But, like some of these bars are like, they have 10 grams of protein, great, but they have 14 grams of sugar, not so great, Now, the FDA used to say, here's the quote, or the information. They used to say that a protein bar could be classified as healthy if it provided at least 10% of the person's daily recommended protein and also didn't have very much fat or cholesterol, sodium. Sounds good. Well, good morning, Chris. Glad you're along. So that's what the FDA, it could be called healthy as long as it didn't have much fat, cholesterol, sodium, stuff like that, and it had at least 10% of daily recommended protein. Well, yeah, they changed all that, because there was some complaints. So 2024, complaints from Kind, another one of the bars, which I have had, they put a lot of nuts in their bars, which is pretty healthy. And they argued that the rules were unfair because nuts are high in fat, as well as, but they're still healthy for you. So under new rules in 2024, it seems that protein bars and other products can't be labeled as healthy if they rely on protein powder instead of whole foods like nuts or eggs or things like that for their protein. So, they don't call them healthy anymore, or whatever that means. So they can't be labeled as healthy. Now, I have my advice on this subject. Okay, eat a bag of nuts. That's what I do. I carry nuts with me almost all the time when I'm traveling, because it's a nice, easy, healthy snack that when you get a little hungry, you can just eat a little bit. And I buy them in bulk, so I'm not like going out buying these little 2-ounce things at the convenience store. I have a bag or a container of nuts that I can nibble on when I want to, because that's a really healthy way of getting protein, and it's not really processed. All those bars, for the most part, all those bars are processed pretty heavily, which is not good for you. So, eating a protein bar is probably a little healthier than a candy bar. But let me ask you a question. Do you think protein bars or breakfast bars or bars of any kind will ever replace candy? No way. No way. Are you kidding me? I mean, we're going to eat candy. Now, we just have to understand that when we're eating candy, that's a dessert. That's, that kind of thing. It's not for our health. All right. So we got to remember that. Okay. I'm still going to do it. Who doesn't eat candy once in a while? Huh? Or some people on a daily or even like hourly basis. Shame on you if you do that. All right, let's go to the next story before I get enraged. We'll talk about that later. What is a super ager? You ever heard that word? I really have not heard super ager, but I'm going to tell you what a super ager is. It's someone that, has twice as many neutrons in their brain as other people. That's kind of what they say. They're making neutrons, okay? That's what they're doing. So scientists, they're doing a new study. I do so many stories about studies. I laugh about it. This is at the University of Illinois, Chicago. Super agers, I'm going to give you a definition, okay, of their definition. I don't know. Good morning, Donna. If I have not said good morning to you, I don't know. I see you're drinking coffee. I've pretty much finished mine, but that's because I've been here working hard to get ready for this. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me get back on subject here. Super agers are your unique group of adults over the age of 80, which I do not qualify for, in case you're wondering, whose performance of tests of past, like the past events, things that have happened to them in the past, was equal to or better than people in their 50s. So these are people over 80 that have a great memory process of past events. Okay, that's what they're calling super agers. They're people that are not losing things. Okay, now knowing some of the things that they've learned, okay, through this process can be good, because they think that they can take how they're learning about these neutrons that are being built by the super agers. It's not being built by people that aren't super agers. Then they can figure out to maybe find more better ways of helping with dementia, new preventions of dementia by learning more and more about why neutrons, do what they do. Okay? All right. Next story. Studies in the past have said that keto diets, I'm hoping everybody knows what keto diets are, but I'll tell you in a minute, helps prevent seizures in some people, but not everybody. And they didn't really know why it worked, but it worked. Now, keto diets, if you've been living under a rock, are diets that are high in fat and low in carbohydrates. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend anybody by living under a rock. I'm thinking maybe living under a rock could be a good thing for some people. I don't know. But anyway, most people know that the keto diet is high in fat and low in carbohydrates. Well, this new study shows, that mice did. They didn't really do the study. I guess people did the study, but they used mice. The keto diet changes the signaling between cells in the brain. That's what it does. And because it does that, they now think, that's what's going on. So the study points to the precise cellular changes needed to produce the anti-seizure effects of the keto diet. They have found those. That means that through medications or other processes that are non-medical, they think they can come up with new approaches for treating everyone with epilepsy. And that's great news because there are so many people that struggle so much with that. Apparently, keto diets are helping some of the people, but not all of them. But now they know what triggers it. Now they can go in and maybe come up with some treatments for everybody. Moving right along. Speaking of getting enraged from earlier, experts. These are expert advice on how to stop being easily offended. Okay? I'm going to give you some of these advice, some quotes and stuff. Now, I am not, and I repeat, not an expert in this study. Okay? I am not an expert on how to not easily get offended. All right? I just want to be sure you understood that. Now, who is Ari Patel. He's a psychotherapist who practices in California and Illinois. I think I've done a story about him a couple times before. But let me give you some quotes from Ari. RT, I don't know. That's how I pronounce it. Learning not to be easily offended is really an emotional freedom. It means that you don't let every comment or misunderstanding pull you off center. That's his quote. And he's correct. That's the key to it. Now, here's another quote from Mr. Patel. You preserve your energy, strengthen your relationships, and develop more inner peace. It's not about dismissing your feelings, but learning to meet them with awareness rather than reactivity. Don't react every time something happens. First suggestion from him is when something stings you, when something happens, pause 10 seconds before responding. That may make sense, but why? Because many times, and you'd be surprised how many times this happens, many times our strongest reactions are from old pain, have nothing to do with what's happening. Somebody comes up and says something, and you have a memory of an old pain, and you blow up because of, you react or you get offended or whatever because of something that happened 10 years ago that the person has no idea about, and it really shouldn't have offended you. But because you have that old experience, it becomes real again to you. So you got to be. That's the reason you wait 10 seconds. I mean, is this really about this or is it about something else? Now, you can't control what other people do. I don't have to tell you that, but you know that. But you can control how you respond. So remember these three things. I didn't cause it, I can't cure it, and I can't control it. Okay? I didn't cause it, whatever this person's problem is. I can't cure it. I can't cure his problem. And I can't control it because he can say what he wants to say. Okay? So just remember that. Now, some people, how should I say it? Some people are just clumsy with words. Some people are really clumsy with words. All right? Now, their words are all about their own issues. It's not, a lot of times it's nothing to do with you. In any way. It's not about you. You just happen to be there. You just happen to be in the way when they're having this little rant or this little thing. It's not about you. So you got to ask yourself, is there other stuff going on in this person's life? So often we hear somebody say something to us, and good morning, Janet. We hear somebody say something to us, and we take it personal when it has nothing to do with us. They just are ranting in front of us, okay? So you got to be really careful about it. And that's the reason you want to take 10 seconds before you respond, because, it's very easy to react right away from something that sounds offensive toward you but may have nothing to do with you, okay? So, ask yourself things like, what's the person's intent? Is it to insult me or make me feel bad? Probably in a lot of cases not, but we take it that way. So the bottom line, in my opinion, is you're more likely to get offended if you're in a stress level. If you're stressed up and somebody comes along stressed up and says something, then there's two stress things banging, and you're gonna take offense to it because you're already stressed. So try to enjoy yourself. Relax. I know people hate to say. I know that when somebody's stressed and you say relax to them, that's not the right thing to say. You know that, right? If you don't, there's some advice. If someone is not relaxed, don't tell them to become relaxed, all right? In case you didn't know that. So, but you don't tell them to relax. You relax. You find something you like to enjoy, doing something, because when you're relaxed and somebody comes toward you with stress, then you won't react the same way. If you're stressed and they're stressed, explosions coming. So relax. When you're relaxed, things can just roll off you easier than they can if you're not relaxed. So I'm winding up today. I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget to go. I got a quote here I'm going to give you. But don't forget to go, right after we get finished, go, it's new every morning. And that's a Facebook page. It's new every morning. Go there and follow it, please, because I do want to move this podcast to its home, which is there. And so the only way I can do that is meet all their procedures, excuse me. And one of them is having more followers than I currently have. So please go there. I don't care if you're watching or not. That's up to you. This is a free world. You don't have to watch this. Nobody's going to force you to watch this podcast. At least I hope not. I encourage people to, but I don't force people to. But so please go there and do that. Now I have a quote from Phil Knight. Okay. Okay. And I quote, "If you're following your calling, the fatigue will be easier to bear. The disappointments will be fuel. The highs will be like nothing you've ever felt." And boy, that's true. It's hard to really know sometimes what you should be doing, your calling per se. But if you know what you're supposed to be doing and you are following it, there's all kind of fuel. And if something goes wrong and you're really focused on what it is, it uses as fuel. You can go back to Thomas Edison, 10,000 failures find a light bulb, but he knew that he was going to invent a light bulb, and he knew that was his calling, and he followed through with it. And once you reach a plateau in your calling, there's nothing better. There's nothing in the world better than that feeling. Okay? So, whatever you're supposed to be doing, I don't know what that is. You know what that is. I hope. If you don't, look for it. Figure it out. Okay? If you're a Christian, pray about it. God, what do you want me to do? And sometimes it's not clear. And sometimes the best way to find out from God what you're supposed to be doing is shut up. He's not going to overtalk you. As long as you're talking, blah, 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 he's not going to overtalk you. He's going to talk when you're quiet. So be quiet. Let him speak to you. All right. And then you'll know what your calling is. And I'll tell you, when you're in your calling, that is that is the best place in the world to live, is when you know what you're supposed to be doing and you're doing it. So with that, have a great weekend. I'm looking forward to a wonderful weekend. I got a lot of things I want to get accomplished this weekend. I may talk to you a little bit about those on Monday. But have a great weekend. Be blessed. And I will be back Monday morning at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. to give you more insights to what's going on in the world that you don't hear anywhere else. Be blessed. See you then. Bye-bye.